Individuals not only make decisions about how many hours they want to work, they also make decisions about what type of job they want to have. So for instance, workers decide on the level of unpleasantness that they are willing to accept for a given job, or the level of risk that they're willing to accept for a given job. More dangerous jobs, of course, require higher wages to compensate for the risk. This leads us to the concept of compensating wage differentials, which refers to a wage premium that compensates for the unpleasantness of a job. An individual's utility function will enable him to decide on the risk he is willing to take to receive a given wage. So it could make sense to let individuals decide on the level of risk they're willing to take. The laissez-faire attitude would be to say that workers who are willing to take more risks to earn higher wages should be allowed to do so. However, workplace regulations do exist to limit the risks that workers actually take. Why may these regulations actually make sense? Let's look at the following example. Now we're going to assume that individuals' choices are a function of not only their taste for risk, but also of how their income compares to the income of others. We are assuming that individuals want to be relatively better off. How might this assumption impact individuals' decisions to work in an unsafe environment? Let's look at this matrix of payoffs. Here we have two players, Smith and Jones, who have the choice between working in a safe mine, where they would be earning 200 euros a week, or working in an unsafe mine, where they would be working 250 euros per week. Because the players' utility is derived not only from their income, but also of how well they fare relatively to the other player, and also how much risk they're actually taking, which does generate a disutility, their payoffs are the following. If they both work at the safe mine, none of them is relatively better off or worse off. They're both working in the same place, and they are both earning an income of 200 euros per week. They are not taking any risks, so they are not suffering from any disutility that is related to the risk, because they are working in a safe mine. So this is the first situation. A second situation is where Smith is working in the unsafe mine, and where Jones is working in the safe mine. Here Smith has a utility of 220 units. That corresponds to the wage that Smith is earning, and so 250 euros per week, plus this utility that Smith gets from the risk he is taking working in this unsafe environment. Jones, however, is working in the safe mine. So Jones is earning 200 euros per week, but Jones also has a disutility from earning an income that is lower than the income that Smith earns. Symmetrically, if Jones is the one working in the unsafe mine and if Smith is the one working in the safe mine, you see that the payoffs are 120 units for Smith and 220 units for Jones. Finally, if they both work in the unsafe mine, they both have the same level of utility, 150 units, but this level of utility it reflects two things. First of all, it reflects the fact that no one is better off, and second, it reflects the fact that they're both taking risks, so both have a disutility from working in the unsafe environment. You probably have already recognized that this is a prisoner's dilemma game. So we've seen the prisoner's dilemma in plenty of different contexts. This is one also where it applies. In this situation, both players have a dominant strategy, which is to choose to work in the unsafe mine, and yet they both would have been better off if they had worked in the safe mine. This example shows how regulation may make sense here in order to force both Jones and Smith to work in a safe mine, and making them therefore both better off than in the situation in which they would be both choosing the unsafe mine to work in.